Peace and blessings, and once again, welcome to the final episode of Veterans Arts on Air. I am your host, Mel L., and today I have a special guest, Stuart Hall, who is a local artist. Great guy I've had the pleasure of knowing for a number of years now. So we'll get a chance to talk with Stuart a little bit later on. But first off, say hi to the people.
Hey, hi there.
Alrighty. And as always, we will go ahead and get into our old and new things going on at the National Veterans Arts Museum. The number is at the bottom of the screen, so please feel free to call in, as this will be the last time some of you all will probably hear my voice. Alrighty. I know, right?
No.
Alright. Well, we're going to go ahead and take it all the way back to June 13th. We held our very, very beginning arts workshop for the creative communities portion that we do at the National Veterans Arts Museum. We had staff members and volunteers available to do demonstration and explain different art processes in an on-hands way, including photography techniques, watercoloring using tablets, and drawing simple comics. So also, our winter and spring interns at NVAM have completed their terms, so we would like to take a moment to thank all of them for all of the hard work that they put in during the time that they were there at the museum. And you can read more about some of our interns' experiences through their website, nvam.org, under Dispatch's blog. And one of our interns actually created a timeline called Vietnam 50 Years Later, which is posted on our website. In addition to historical information, some of our artists are highlighted as well, connecting their work and their time of war. So please go ahead and check that out. Also, NVAM Sound Off is up and going. So check out our multi-generational oral history project developed and produced by the National Veterans Arts Museum. Sound Off builds a unique Sound Off builds a unique arts collection at the heart of NVAM and the power of oral history to Sorry, getting a little choked up here.
No.
And an oral history to help our patrons gain knowledge, experience, and understanding of our veteran experience. Uniquely the veteran artist experience in new ways and innovation. Sound Off accepts audio submissions from veterans who create artwork in our permanent galleries, veterans sharing their experience, and viewers who have commented on previously uploaded submissions. Sound Off aims to encourage friends and families of veterans to open conversations about military experience and the ability to access this platform. Saturday, June 20th and 21st, the National Veterans Arts Museum participated in the Barbecue Fest located in their very own Portage Park neighborhood. So of things that were going on there that day, the museum was there with an open air photo booth in which they asked participants to write down anything that they felt about the museum, military service, or artwork. And you can find those photographs on the Facebook page for the National Veterans Arts Museum. So those were things that happened last month. Some of the things that we have coming up, first things first, this Saturday will be the 4th of July, Independence Day. And because of Independence Day, the National Veterans Arts Museum will be closed. Also, starting next week, the ASM, After School Matters program, will be starting on July 7th. All summer long, we'll have a group of teenagers working alongside artists and museum staff, making art and learning about works in the Art Institute. At the end, their work will be showcased in a student exhibition, and some participants will be in an upcoming exhibit in the fall. Also, Saturday, July 11th, we will have our next creative community with Stuart Hall, who's our guest here. And Stuart, if you could really quickly share a little bit about what our upcoming workshop, Fleur De Guerre, is.
Pleased to. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm very well pleased with working with the National Veterans Art Museum and the crew up there, Chris and Patrick and Mose. Top notch. What a great program, and I'm thrilled to be working with them. I'll be doing a workshop that involves activism art, actually, which is the art I practice. I'm going to be going through the actual practice of how I developed it and what I do with it. And then we're going to survey some elements involved, appropriation, messaging, placement and installation, and maybe some of the risks involved with unauthorized public installation of art.
All right, well, that's one of those subjects as a graph writer I kind of love getting into. So, again, this will be going on from 2 to 4 on Saturday the 11th at the National Veterans Arts Museum. All are welcome on that day. So, now that we've gone ahead and talked a little bit about our upcoming workshop, let's get a little bit further in depth about you. So, how long have you been working on this particular project?
This particular project is kind of my ongoing project. It's a growing body of work, and I've been working on it for about 7 years now, actually. I call it Fleur De Guerre, which is French for flowers of war, and it's pretty simple. I mix metaphors of flowers and weaponry. I appropriated an image, the hippie sticking the flower in the gun barrel, you know, and I took that to a different level. I build hand grenades with flowered pins, and I have airplanes with flowered propellers that drop flowered bombs and stuff like that. So that's the basis of my work, and I consider Fleur De Guerre kind of a community project as well. Anybody's allowed to participate. I call it an army, the army in the war against war. And since some of my things I do kind of illegally, I'd love to have a whole bunch of people out there calling themselves soldiers so they don't know which one to point to, you know, kind of thing. So join the force, enlist now. Your country needs you to make activist art.
I could definitely say I remember purchasing a piece from you a few years back at a party, and you know, and it sits with some of my most treasured pieces that I keep on a shelf in my living room. So, and I was looking back as I was moving a bunch of things over the weekend, and I looked up and was like, man, it's been probably about 4 years since I've had that piece, and it's been sitting there, nice and proudly displayed there ever since. So. I am always ready and willing to get in, because I love the pieces, especially the first time I saw the grenade with the flower hanging out of it. I was completely amazed by it.
Oh, right on. Good.
So we'll go back a little bit further. Tell us, you are a member of the United States Navy. So when did you join the Navy, and how long did you serve?
Okay, yes, sir. I'm a veteran of the United States Navy. I served 6 years, and my service dates were between 1981 and 87.
Okay.
So I was like a little bit too old for Vietnam and a little bit young and gone for Desert Storm.
All right. Yeah. Oh wow, yeah, 81, the year I blessed the world with my presence.
Oh man, I was boots on the ground and you were just kicking it out.
I was just on my way kicking out of there. Yeah. All right. So tell us how you became drawn to art.
Well, I grew up in an artistic family. My father was in the printing business and a journalist and an advertising executive, and my mother was an artist. So I picked up art as a young child, probably 6, 7, 8 years old, scrawling on the walls with crayons and stuff. You know, I didn't know it was cool like graffiti back then, but still drawing on walls and stuff. But sorry, Mom.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about some of the different art making that you do. Now you saw you were a part of the Warriors Art Group. Can you explain what this is and what the group does?
Yeah, I'm a participant in that. I'm not a very good participant, but Warrior Art Group is basically like a database and kind of maybe almost a social networking thing where veterans who are artists can sign up, get an account on this website, and you can post your art and you can post your stories. You can run your own little blog out of it. So it's basically like a database of veterans' arts, but it's a really good survey of how much really good veteran art is out there and how much really good talented art is coming out of the veterans community, our community. Right. So it's a really good organization. I'm pleased to be with that.
All right. Can you tell us, are you a part of any other organizations?
I do participate in a few things. I'm First and foremost, a bicycle advocate. I'm very big in the bicycle community. I've been participating in Critical Mass since they were 10 years old, and now they're coming up 20.
Wow.
One of the things I do on the regular for the bicycle community is I co-curate an art show that's all bicycle themed art show, and it's always in the middle of the winter time. So it's the Chicago Bike Winter Art Show.
Mm-hmm.
It's every February, coincides with the Chicago Auto Show.
All right.
And we just did our 18th installment of it. So we've been around 18 years. I've been curating it for the last 7 or so. Yeah. So we're approaching 20 years, and we got big plans for 20 years. So that's really good. And then I also participate with a group called the Chicago Loop Alliance. Okay. They're great people. The Loop Alliance is essentially the administrator of a SSA Special Service Area funds. It's a tax levied on businesses in a certain district, and then those taxes go to improve things in that district. So the Loop Alliance is a nonprofit organization, but they do a lot of great things. They keep all the sidewalks down in the Loop pressure cleaned in the summer and shoveled in the winter. I have a lot of people come through and say, Chicago's so clean, and I'm like, what? But they see the Loop, and it's the Loop Alliance that's responsible for that. And they also have a really good this is close to me too, homeless outreach program. They have a street team that knows how to go and deal with the homeless situation there, which is very important work.
Absolutely.
My participation with them is artistically, of course. I started with them programming what were pop-up galleries back in the day. They gave us access to vacant storefronts and let artists loose in there to install or make art and exhibit art. And I was kind of a curator and an administrator of a lot of that. But now we've distilled that into another program which is called Activate. Okay. Now, Activate's a really cool program. I don't think there's an urban art program quite like it. We are allowed to go and take over iconic alleys down in the Loop. We'll take an alley over for one night, and we will transform it into a multimedia, multidisciplined art experience. And that usually happens like the last Thursday of every month. They're really great programs. I happen to be getting to do my very own alley instead of facilitating. I am now got my own alley, and that's going to be August 27th. Mark your calendars.
All right.
And that's going to be a ball. It's going to be a steampunk journey through time and space, man. So.
That sounds like a great time. I'll definitely look forward to that.
Yeah.
So outside of that, anything else coming up for you?
Oh, wow. I did kind of forget this little tidbit. I am gearing up for my very first solo art show ever.
All right.
And a lot of people I tell that to go, well, what took you so long? And I'm like, well, I don't even know if I'm still ready for it. I want a big bang when I come in. No, so I'm building a body of work for that, and that's going to be around November, because that's our veterans time.
Absolutely. All right, you know what? For those people who are saying, what took you so long, you can tell them like I say, you know what? Most of my art is sitting somewhere that has not been seen yet either. So you do it when you're ready, and it sounds like you found a time to go ahead and get to that.
Yes, sir.
While you and I are sitting here talking, we also have a few images of yours and some of the work that you have done over the years.
Yeah.
So tell me about this one. Where is this located?
This is a fun little thing. This was actually the pivotal project of my art career. This is a project called Artillery Blooms. Right. There again, I appropriated the flower and a gun barrel, but I just made it big and shoved it in the end of an artillery piece. I actually, I had a studio mate, God love her, Robin Coffey, and I'd stand around the studio and just say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to build a bunch of flowers and stick them in guns all around the city. And she heard me say that enough and enough. She said, just go and do it. And I was like, okay, I'll show you. So I did it. Right. And I went around and put 6 of these flowers out in 6 pieces of artillery around town. And it was on election day it was on election day of 2008. Okay. And that particular cannon right there was right outside a polling station on election day. So nice. That's called placement, you guys.
Absolutely.
This is part of the same installation. That's on the other side of the park. That's Smith Park. Okay. It's my favorite. That happens to be a Stewart tank too. I never knew that. Nice. Destined to be. I love that picture. That's part of the Wounded in Action art show where I submitted that's another one of my first pieces. Bombs that go bloom. They fall out of the sky and turn into flowers. That installation actually traveled from here to New Orleans, and then it went to Washington, D.C. It spent time at Bethesda, the Medical War Science Museum, and then it came back and got installed at the Cultural Center. So that's me. All right. Oh, there's some hand grenades. Kabloom, kabloom.
Oh, you gotta love it.
Yeah.
So while we were talking prior to the show getting started, you were talking about one of your earlier military experiences. So while we've got a moment or two before we get into our Take 5 for this month, why don't you go ahead and share that story with the rest of us?
Oh, yeah. Well, I was looking through our script here, and it says what kind of experience I got from the military, which was innumerable experiences, good discipline, teamwork, following orders. Man, I know you should see me packed to travel, man. I'm good. I wanted to draw a direct line from a specific experience to what drives me to do the art I do today. Okay. And in the Navy, I was a naval aviator. I flew in the back seat of a jet airplane off the USS John F. Kennedy with VS-22. And as an aviator, I was required special training, and one of those trainings was this thing called SEER School, which you're familiar with?
I am familiar with. As a Marine, Department of the Navy, I was actually asked to go to SEER School and heard some stories and decided against it. Like, I'm not doing this. But did you actually experience it?
Yeah, I got sent off to SEER School. That's Search, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape. And it's basically a scenario where you're dropped in the woods. You have to survive for 7 days. You have to figure out how to navigate, land navigation and survival techniques and all this stuff. And then they sent a whole enemy army coming out to scoop you up and put you in a prisoner of war camp. So they scooped me up with the 72 other classmates and put us in a prisoner of war environment. And that was the intense part. They pulled all the tricks on us. The stress positioning and sleep deprivation and real lot of bodily contact, shove you in little boxes and just all sorts of crazy things. But I won the waterboard lottery.
Oh boy.
As far as I could tell, I was the only person in the class that got waterboarded. So I have been waterboarded, and it's a horrendous experience. If anybody tells you it's anything but torture, they are wrong. And if anybody tells you that the intelligence rendered from that is good, they are wrong. And I know it from experience. And I didn't really, and I draw the line to my art now is because it's something that recently came to light, was that the way we handle our detainees in this war on terrorism came straight out of that SEER School playbook. Like I said, the stress positionings, the sleep deprivation, the waterboarding. Holy cow! Thank God I only got it once, twice. Dieted out on twice a day. But it's torture. And then I found out that our government went out and paid a consulting firm lots and lots of money to develop a program to handle these detainees, and what they did was they just stole the whole SEER school playbook and sold it back to our government for lots of money. That I was like, no.
Oh yeah.
So
I could definitely see how that would.
Something like that made me compelled to actually lift a voice and do something. So that's kind of my drive to keep going, was that little thing.
All right. Well, as someone again who has made sure to stay clear of SEER school, I'm sorry that you had to experience it, but I am, I guess, grateful that it got you to the point to where you are the artist that you are today because of it.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, and with that being said, we are going to move on to the final take 5 of the Veteran Arts on Air show. And take 5 is 5 people that you may not have known were veterans, but this list here is actually a pretty interesting one. So here we go. Number 1, we got.
Oh, look at that! That's more Stewart Hart.
We got more Stewart Hart. Sorry, I had a little precursor before we get to it.
Oh, that's okay.
Boom, here we go.
There we go.
Number 1, Alan Alda, best known as Captain Hawkeye Pierce from MASH. Alda is an actor, director, screenwriter, and author. And after graduating from Fordham College in New York, Alda served a year at Fort Benning and 6 months in the U.S. Army Reserve. In 1997, Alda auctioned and was selected to play the role of Hawkeye. He is the only regular character to appear in all 251 episodes. Alda helped write 19 episodes of MASH and directed 32. The finale, which he both wrote and directed, aired in 1983 and ran for 2.5 hours. This finale remains the single most watched episode of any American broadcast network series. Wow. Alrighty, up next.
I thought he just played a veteran on TV.
I know, right? See? The things that we find out watching this show.
This guy, too.
Yeah. All right, and see, this one gets me, too. All right, so next up, we have Pat Sajak, who, surprisingly, is a Chicago native.
Really?
Pat Sajak is best known for being the host of the television game show The Wheel of Fortune. In 1968, Sajak joined the U.S. Army and served in Vietnam as a disc jockey on Armed Forces Radio. Good morning, Vietnam. I know, right?
Yeah.
Other jobs were he was a former weatherman and a talk show host as well.
Wow.
Up next, we have Mr. Paul Newman. Paul Newman is known for a variety of professions. He was an actor, film director, a race car driver, an entrepreneur, philanthropist, environmentalist, and a liberal social activist. Newman served in the U.S. Navy in World War II in the Pacific Theater. Although he enrolled to be a pilot, he was dropped due to his color blindness. Instead, he trained as a radio man, a rear gunner, later on training replacement combat pilots and air crewmen. Newman's list of movies is a long one. A couple of those would include Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, Cool Hand Luke, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and one of my personal favorite movies, The Road to Perdition. All right. One of his well-known philanthropic programs is the Hole in the Wall Gang Camp, a residential summer camp for seriously ill children. The camp is named after the gang in his film Butch Cassidy. And up next, we have Mr. Charlton Heston, who was an actor and political activist born in Evanston, Illinois, when he was an infant and moved to Michigan a few years later. Heston was a part of a Dramatist Guild, from which he earned a drama scholarship to Northwestern University. In 1944, he enlisted in the U.S. Armed Forces and served for 2 years as a radio operator and aerial gunner. After gaining fame as an actor, he narrated military and instructional videos to boot. He has appeared in over 100 films in over 60 years. And finally, Horace Pippin, who was a self-taught African-American painter born in 1888, just 23 years after the Civil War. In 1917, he went to France and served in World War II, among other things. So you can again take a look at some of these different artists as we go on. I have just been given a signal to wrap this up. So in the next 15 seconds, I would like to say that it has been a phenomenal 2 years doing this show with you all. It has been a pleasure. Stuart, thank you for coming on and being the final host on Veterans Arts on Air. And I'd just like to remind you all that terrorism doesn't just happen abroad. It can also happen at home. So for all of the black lives that are being lost in these last couple of years, peace and blessings. We need to keep up the fight.
Amen,
I'm Mel
brother.
L. Stuart Hall.
Stewie.
Peace and blessings, y'all.